There we go. Okay. Hello. Hello, Middle Georgia. Perfect. Alrighty, good evening, Middle Georgia. We are back with yet another live stream today. So if you're able to join with us earlier today, appreciate it if you happen to be back. But if you're just now joining us for the first time, we're going to be covering updates for the winter weather system that's hitting us right now. And within the next couple of hours, we'll start to dwindle out of Middle Georgia. So let me just get a couple things set up here real quick, and then we will get on moving. All right, cool. No, you're fine. And also as well, me and Ryan, the chief meteorologist, are going to be switching and tag teaming this as well. So I'll be doing it for a little bit, then he'll come up and do it for a little bit. So we'll just be going back and forth since it has been an all-day event for us here. But yeah, we'll just get on started. So first, we're looking at our radar signatures here, and we can see that the big swath of that deep blue is going to be down here in the southern part of Middle Georgia, down in Vienna, Cordele, Abbeville, and it's going to be making its way northeast like. So it's going to stay in these southern parts of Middle Georgia, and it's just going to be moving right across this way. So places up near Monticello, Eatonton are now dwindling out with the snow. We're starting to see lighter and lighter amounts. So that will be lessening up for them there. But we still are seeing, for the majority of Middle Georgia, snow falling across here and still in heavy amounts. Matter of fact, though, we'll actually turn to our live camera of downtown Macon, because I just got back from my little dinner break, and things have actually changed quite a bit since the last time that I was here. So this actually, we'll actually start with Dublin and then make our switch over to Macon. So currently taking a look at the downtown Dublin area, we can see that all the rooftops are covered with snow. The roads are covered with snow because you can see some of those tire tracks are eating away through the snow, and portions of the grass are also now covered. Now, the snow has lightened up there in Dublin, and it looks like it could pick up just a little bit here in the next hour or so, but currently it is looking like the things have lightened up. We are at a temperature of 27 degrees with a wind out of the northwest at 7 miles an hour. Now, let me just flip it over to Macon real quick so we can get a good look at downtown. See if it'll switch for us. Just takes always a second, and there we go. So we can see that downtown Macon actually has accumulations on the road itself. I know when we were talking last time, and especially on our shows from 5 to 6 on Fox and from 6 to 6:30 on ABC, the roads really didn't have anything as far as accumulations go, but now within the last hour, things have picked up here in Macon, and things are starting to stick on the road. So again, even on my way back to the station, I actually almost slipped because things have picked up more than I was thinking they would, even on my little dinner break. This system, because again, it is going to be here for the next couple of hours, and things are starting to pick up and will continue to get worse as the night progresses. Again, one of the biggest things that we do have going on here is these impacts. So the impacts are probably going to be the most important thing that we do talk about today, and I'll pull those up right here because they have been changing as we've gone throughout today as well, and they've been getting worse and worse as the day has progressed. Now, taking a quick look at this as it pulls up, we can see basically a moderate risk for the majority of Middle Georgia. We still are kind of on the minor side for the more northern counties of Middle Georgia, but this major level has really bled into the middle and heart of Middle Georgia. We can see that initially it started down near Americus, Cordele, Montezuma, but it's kind of made its way up into downtown Macon, Warner Robins, and even is making closely its way over to Dublin. So it really has become more of an impactful event as the day has gone on. Again, we've been in a winter storm warning all day, and it actually did get expanded more into northern Georgia and even into the metro Atlanta area. So because the National Weather Service has seen that it's overperforming than what we first initially had predicted. So they're doing that to increase that because things are, again, overperforming. There's more conditions that we need to look out for, and especially as we head into the later portion of tonight, temperatures are going to continue to drop and even make the ground wet, will continue to freeze and cause, again, icy spots. So if you are to drive, please, please, please be careful. Only drive if it's an absolute necessity because roads are bad. They've been bad. They're going to get worse. I mean, at 3 p.m., I think we got reports of about 6 accidents over in LaGrange, which I know is up over, I think, right there, actually. And they already, again, at the very beginning of the system, already had 6 accidents be reported. So it is very serious that you do stay safe and stay off the roads if at all possible. But like I was mentioning before, along with the snow being impactful, these wind chills are also going to be just as important to take a look at. We can see currently we are already sitting into the teens. We have places like Butler at 15, Thompson at 17, Milledgeville at 19. We do have a couple other places that are a little bit higher. We have Monticello at 26, Forsyth at 26, Eastman at 23, and Mount Vernon and McRae are always a little bit higher, typically because they're just a little bit more southern for us. So Mount Vernon is at 32 and McRae is at 29. But again, as the night progresses, these are going to drop and even possibly into the single digits. So it is something to be aware of, and make sure that when you have, or when you're going to sleep tonight, excuse me, you take care of the 4 Ps. We've got people, pipes, pets, and plants. So as far as people go, of course, make sure you're always bundled up, especially if you're going to be heading out tonight to possibly play. And then, of course, always make sure that you've got scarves, gloves, hats, properly warmed jackets, because long exposure in these below average temperatures are harmful for extended periods of time, especially if you don't have adequate equipment. And of course, if you've got any pets, you bring them inside because these temperatures are, again, very, very cold. So those pets are not going to want to stay outside and be harmed. So you want to bring them in, keep them all warm, keep them all happy. And as well as plants, same goes for that as well. You know, plants are going to want to become inside for a little bit, at least while we wait for this colder weather to pass on by. And all your pipes, just make sure that you are dripping them throughout the night because, again, we are below those freezing temperatures and we want to make sure that they're not going to freeze overnight or potentially bust, because that would not be very good. Now, taking a look quickly at our totals, these again have been changing for throughout the entire day and are still, again, since we're still experiencing this, they could still change. Now, this is possibly what we still have left to fall, so that's why the numbers are a little bit lower than what we talked about before, because this is what is left of the system. So places like Monticello and Thomaston, it's starting to get out of your area and you're really in the lighter things of snow, so we don't really expect you to accumulate any more snowfall. But places like here in Macon, just about 0.3 of an inch. Places in Cochrane, about 1.5 inches. But again, down in Mount Vernon and McRae, where the swath of that snow system is, you're still expecting to get another 2 to 2.5 inches. Again, these are subject to change, but these are what we're predicting as of now. So if you were to absolutely have to drive in the snow, which again, I highly, highly advise against, here's what you should know. Again, don't unless absolutely necessary, but on the off chance that you would have to, drive very, very, very slowly. Again, like 10 to 15 miles below the normal speed limit, if not less. And if you have to brake snow a little bit more frequently than we do here, I had an instance where it was snowing, I was coming home from work, it was late at night, I really wasn't thinking very clearly, and I almost slammed on my brakes. I pressed them pretty harsh and I started to slide, and thankfully there was no one in front of me because I would have run into the back of them, and that enough for me was like, okay, I need to pay attention, I need to be safe out here. So again, gently apply those brakes and don't be super harsh with them, and especially if you're going to be going uphill as well, do not let off that gas, because if you do, there is the potential that you could be sent back down that hill, and especially if there's somebody behind you, you might end up running into them, which will not be any good. We'll have to get first responders out there, which I know they don't want to get stuck out in the snow either. So again, overall, this is just not something that you want to get stuck in, But since you are going to be staying home and enjoying the rest of the day with the snow, and potentially if your kids have been born after 2017, this is the first time that we're going to be experiencing snow down here in Middle Georgia. So if you've had any fun so far or are planning on having any fun later today, of course, you're always welcome to share those weather photos. This QR code right here and scan it from your local app store. But again, we'd love to see where you're up to, see what you've been doing in the meantime, and of course, staying safe, out in that snow. So we'll take a quick look at our hour-by-hour forecast as well, just to see how this thing wraps up here. So here at 8 p.m., we can see, again, places like Monticello, Thomaston, Forsyth. The majority of this system is starting to leave your area, so pretty much what you're seeing right now on the ground is what you're going to be left with. For the rest of us, again, have that dark band down here, so the southern parts of Middle Georgia are still going to be experiencing a good majority of the system as it moves through the next couple of hours. We'll take it up to 9 p.m. Now Macon is out of the area, so for us here, we're going to stop seeing snow within the next hour or two. We'll head off to 10 p.m., even to 11 p.m., and then off to 12 a.m. Most of us here will be not experiencing any more snowfall. Again, places like Mount Vernon and McRae will probably be the last of our counties here in Middle Georgia to really experience any of this snow. But as you can see, these temperatures are all going to be below freezing as we head into the overnight hours. So again, even though the snow is going to be out of here, please, please, please be cautious of these freezing temperatures, because that is freezing that could melt just a little bit, but even though they will melt, they'll most likely refreeze over, and you'll have a lot more slick spots Wednesday afternoon leading into Thursday morning. So that also is still going to be of concern when traveling if you happen to need to get out again. So we'll just take a quick look at our wind chills, because again, these cold temperatures are very, very important to keep note of. So here on Wednesday, we're looking at 12 degrees as our wind chill, and that is extremely, extremely cold. Even for me from Virginia, that's extremely cold. On Thursday and Friday, we're both going to be sitting at 20 degrees, Saturday, 22, and Sunday, 25. Now, even though things are going to start to warm up here on Friday and Saturday, still having these wind chills down in the low 20s is still going to be cold for us, and still is going to be something you need to keep out for and make sure that you're still going to be bundled up through the remainder of the week, even though this winter system is going to be out of here. Now, we'll take a quick look at, let's see, getting something else pulled up for us. Oh, not the right graphic, my bad. Let me get a different one for us. It's going to take me a second. It's been a little bit of a hectic day around here, so don't mind any technical difficulties. In here, actually, we'll have our current radar pulled up. So right around that 7:40 time, storm has moved on out of Mississippi. It's making its last stops here in Alabama, and then the majority is now over Georgia. But again, over the next couple of hours, we'll be moving out of here. So right now is most likely going to, as we head throughout the next couple of hours, this system will be on its way. Now, we'll take a quick look at things locally here in Macon tonight. So Macon will be getting all the way down to 17 degrees. And again, that snow is going to be ending here in the next hour or two. So things will still be snowing. Still want to enjoy it if you can while you're downtown. Again, don't be driving, but you can go out and enjoy it. But of course, always be safe. But again, 17 degrees, still going to be abysmally cold. And then taking a quick look at our 10-day forecast just to see things a little bit ahead of this system. Again, weather-worn day for the rest of today and leading into tomorrow. Again, that low of 16 going into Thursday morning and that low of 21 heading into Friday. Warrants a weather-worn day to, again, be cautious of those colder temperatures. Now, like I was mentioning before, as we head into Saturday and Sunday, things are going to warm up just a little bit back to more of those average temperatures we should see around this time. 52 is a high on Saturday, 58 as a high on Sunday, even possibly reaching into the mid-60s on Tuesday. Now, there is the chance for showers. Now that we've kind of hit everything, and then we'll kind of do a run through again, just in case anybody's happened to join since I've been talking so far. Just give me 1 second, and I will see if there's anything else. All right, I see Karen Weaver has said that they are loving the snow that we're getting, and they have missed the snow so much. Yeah, that really is the sentiment for today. Like some of my other coworkers have been saying, this area has not seen snow since 2017. And again, me being from Virginia, I see it a little bit more often, but I can understand the excitement for something like this. It's been, that's 8 years now, just about. So I can understand it. And For me personally, I would say that I enjoy snow days for maybe like 1 to 2 days, and then after that I'm like, okay, the snow has kind of overstayed its welcome. But it seems like for this system, it's going to be just about that, where it's only going to last for a day or two. Like I was mentioning Wednesday, we will get above freezing for just a few hours. It'll melt just a little bit, it'll refreeze overnight into Thursday, and then Thursday looks like we'll be well above freezing for the rest of it to kind of melt away. Again, don't be alarmed if there are still things lingering around even into Friday, but I highly doubt by the time Friday is over that we'll see any remnants of that snow. Now that's all I can see for now as far as social media goes, so I'm just going to switch back over and we'll kind of do a quick little run through once again. All right, starting with the snow totals really quickly. These, again, are going to be what we have left to come of this system. As like I was mentioning, the majority of that system is here and off to the southern parts of these counties. Now we do have places like any more accumulations as it leaves our area, but we do have other places like Cochrane and Hawkinsville still at 1 to 1.5 inches left to expect as the night progresses, and other places like Soperton, Mount Vernon, and McRae still, again, in the heaviest of those snow bands, still experiencing or still expected to get 2 to 2.5 inches of that snow. Now, these are subject to change, but this is what we were thinking as this system is moving out of our area. Even though we have seen some snow today and that is super, super exciting, it is also important that we be safe and are up to date on what those impacts will be. Now, according to this, we did have it say it was going to be mainly a moderate impact level for most of us here in Middle Georgia, but as the night has progressed, it has been upgraded to a major impact level for most of us here in the middle of Middle Georgia. Originally, it started off in Americus, Cordele, a little bit of Montezuma, but it has since bled into Warner Robins and Macon, so it really does prove that this is something that is of significance and did warrant a winter storm warning, because this is not the event that you want to be driving for. The roads are slushy now here in downtown Macon. They're covered in other parts of Middle Georgia as well. We've gotten multiple reports of accidents, especially even early on with this system, and that was before everything has really since covered the roads. So there's icy spots for places that didn't get quite as much snow as they were thinking, and then it's just so because of these impact levels, you want to be aware of the 4 Ps. You've got people, pets, pipes, and plants. So as far as people go, make sure that if you're going out to have any fun later today, that you have adequate clothing. You have hats, scarves, a proper jacket, gloves, anything like that. Because again, this is something we want you to have fun in, but in a safe manner, because prolonged exposure to these cold temperatures mixed in with that snow could be dangerous if you do it for a really long time. Now, as far as pets go, you want to bring them inside, especially if they're more catered to being outside, because again, those temperatures we have heading into our area tonight are going to be down into the teens, which you want to make sure that your fluffy friends are staying safe tonight. Same thing goes with plants. You know, certain plants cannot handle this type of cold, so it's best to bring them inside. And finally, pipes. You want to make sure that you're still dripping that faucet as the night progresses, especially since we have more freezing on the way tomorrow. Now, staying with that theme of freezing, we'll take a look at the wind chills, and we can see currently that we are in the teens in some areas. Here in Thomaston at 16, Butler's at other places like Monticello and Eatonton are in the mid-20s, and actually Mount Vernon looks like it's changed from just a little bit ago. The 32 range, but now is down to 23. McRae is still a little bit above average at that 29 for what we expect here in Middle Georgia. But as a whole, everything is in the mid-20s to lower 30s, and they will continue to drop as the night progresses. Looking at our wind chill trends over the next few days, we can see that on Wednesday we'll be starting out with a wind chill of 12 degrees. That is bitterly, bitterly cold, especially for me being from Virginia. Even 12 is crazy to me. And as we go to Thursday and Friday, we'll be about 20 degrees, and then a slight uptick on Saturday and a slight uptick on Sunday. And even though we are going to be warming up for our high temperatures on Saturday and Sunday, we will still have very, very chilly mornings to start out with. Now, heading back to looking at that hour-by-hour forecast for this system tonight, we can see that right at this time stamp of 8 p.m., places like Monticello, Thomaston, and Forsyth are really seeing the back end of this system and really shouldn't see any more accumulations like I was mentioning on our accumulation map. Now here in Macon, we still kind of have a little bit of that lingering left here for us, and it will be out of here within the next hour or so, but places like Mount Vernon, Soperton, Dublin are still experiencing a good deep band of that snow, which means that it is still heavy down in those areas, which will last for another couple of hours and will move out of the system. So we'll just go through the hours real quick here. 9 p.m., again, here in Macon, it will be out of here. As we head to 10 p.m., places like Fort Valley, Milledgeville, you're going to stop seeing some snow. As we head into 11, now Vienna, Sandersville, it's going to be stopping there. And then by the time we get to 4 a.m. on Wednesday, everybody's going to be drying up out there, and the system will have moved on from Georgia as a whole. Now, if you absolutely have to be out there driving, here's what you need to know. First, don't do it. Of course, event to be doing this, but if you are, just drive very, 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 very slowly. I personally have an experience where when I lived back in Virginia, I was working late and I was getting home around 10 p.m. when it was still snowing, and it actually applies to this third point right here about my brakes, because thankfully there was no one in front of me, but I did hit my brakes a little bit hard and I began to slide. Thankfully there was no one in front of me, otherwise I would have hit them, so I got lucky there, but doesn't mean everyone's always going to get lucky all the time. So if you're going to be using your brakes, please slide those brakes and do not slam on them, otherwise it'll cause you to slide. Same thing goes with the going uphill. Do not let off the gas because you will begin to slide backwards, and especially if there's someone coming up behind you, you don't want to slide back and hit into them or potentially spin out and hit something that's on the hydrant, anything like that, because then you're going to have first responders come out, and this also don't want to put them in that kind of situation. Now, even here in Middle Georgia, we want you to share those photos with us here at wgxa.tv/chime-in. You can either type that into your web browser, take your phone and scan this QR code right there, and you can send it in that way as well, downloading it from your local app store. So again, have fun and be safe out there. Here in Macon locally though, we can see that tonight we're actually going to be getting down to 17 degrees. Again, that snow will be ending within the next hour or so. So we've seen a good amount of it so far, and when I was heading back into work after my quick dinner break, the roads finally did actually start to accumulate some snow, which I can show you on our Wilson Bryant Heating and Air Skycast network here in just a second. I just gotta find it real quick, and then I'll be able to show it for you. But I really do hope everyone's been able to enjoy this day so far. We'll have had fun, you know, keeping it updated and seeing everything that has been that we've been able to offer and see within the area. Let's see if this one, because that says Dublin. See if I can get one that has the title of Macon. Just give me one sec. Again, it's been at least a long day for me since this is my first time doing it all day. So getting my work in, getting my reps in, which is always good as well. So let's see. Maybe this one? Nope, that's Mercer. Well, even though I know it says Dublin, this is going to be downtown Macon, a live look. It does look like the snow has lightened up just a little bit for us, but like I was mentioning before, the accumulations on the road are very visible at this point. I even slipped a little bit when I was on my way into the station back from my dinner break. So we can see that even within the last hour and a half, things have picked up here in downtown Macon. Again, they will be ending within the next hour or two, but these conditions are not safe to drive on. And I'm glad to be seeing that the people that are driving are taking it very slowly, because that is the way to do it. Now, taking a look at our current satellite radar, we'll see that places like Mississippi and Alabama, the system has already moved out of Mississippi, and it's making its last little stops in Alabama down here near Dothan. But the bulk of it, like I was mentioning, now is in central and southern Georgia, but places of middle Georgia are already starting to experience the back end of this. So again, within the next couple of hours, things will begin to taper off and move on its way. Now, let's see. Let's see what I want to show you guys. All right, and again, in terms of what weather is upcoming, we can see that again, we do have that winter weather warn day for today and tomorrow, because again, today we had our system come through, and then tomorrow and Thursday, we have those bitterly cold temperatures. I mean, we're having a 16-degree morning temperature on Thursday morning, and then a 21 going into Friday morning. Those temperatures are very, very below average and very, very cold. So it is warranted to have a weather warn day, because that is something that you need to be prepared for and be aware of in case you need to make plans or anything of that nature. We can see, though, as we head into the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, things are going to warm up for us here in Middle Georgia. We're actually going to be hitting a high of the 50s, which I know seems a little bit rare these days, but we'll have a high of 52 on Saturday and a high of 58 on Sunday. And again, we'll still actually have those lows down in the 20s leading into the weekend, but we will still have those highs in the upper 50s. And it looks like even on Tuesday, we could be hitting the mid 60s, which is super exciting because I'm definitely sick of the cold. I'm sure you guys are sick of the cold, but we also potentially might have some showers coming in on Monday, but it's still a few days out, so we'll keep you updated on what's to come with that as well. Now I'm just going to head back over to social media, see if anybody has commented again, just to see if I can help answer any questions. I did actually end up having soup for dinner, which I did mention in my previous live that we did here. So that was all good and fun. I always love having a good hearty meal, especially soup, when it's cold and snowing out like this. So that warms me up just a little bit, even though it is pretty frigid out there. And I'm glad that some of my coworkers have been able to return back to the station safe and soundly because they were out there today doing live reporting from places all over Middle Georgia. So I'm glad to see them back safe and sound as well. Now, I currently don't see anything that's left on the social media pages, so I'm going to, again, wrap it back into things and update anybody who may have joined in the last few minutes and go from there. Again, of course, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them on the Facebook page so I can get to them and answer your questions. But here, we will start out with those snow totals again. Just got to pick them back up. And here we are. So here again, these are what we still expect to fall with this system as we progress. This is, again, still to fall snow totals, so this is what is left of that system. Places out near Monticello, Forsyth, and Thomaston are at the back end of this system, so we don't expect any more accumulations to occur in those areas. Here in Macon, it's starting to dwindle just a little bit as well, lightening up, so we only expect 0.2 of an inch to really stick on top of what we already have. Here in Dublin, still 1.5 inches. Wrightsville, 2.2 inches, and then places like Mount Vernon are still also at 2.2 inches. So these places down here are still in the deeper part of the snow bands, so they will still experience more snow than we will see here in Macon and places up near Monticello, Forsyth, and Thomaston. Now taking a look at the active reflectivity, you can see that darker band that I was mentioning is kind of coming across the southern parts of Middle Georgia over into Dublin, Soperton, Mount Vernon, places like that. And the lighter things, like I was mentioning before, are up here in Monticello, Forsyth, and Thomaston. And this is the back end of that system leaving our area currently. So we can see that even though, again, like this snow is very fun and very exciting, but it does have real impacts. So we'll take a look at our winter storm impact levels. And earlier in the day, it was more of a moderate swath across Middle Georgia. So places over here were still on the moderate side of things, but that major level has bled into the central part of Middle Georgia. It was mainly in Americus, Cordele, and a little bit of Montezuma earlier in the day, but as the afternoon has progressed, it has made its way up into Warner Robins and Macon. And regardless of where you're going to be here today in Middle Georgia, there are going to be some impacts from this system. It is just not the day to be driving. Today is one of those days where you need to take a lazy day. This is the day to stay home if you can and try to relax. I know we just came off the holidays, everything like that. So I'm sure things have been busy at work, things are busy at school. So this is the time to kind of kick back and relax if you can, because we are going to have freezing temperatures leading into tomorrow, which are also going to leave some impacts as well. Now, as far as schools are concerned, we don't make that decision. That's up to the superintendents, but we do have school closings on our website. So if you want to know what could be closed, if we don't know the exact current conditions and what roads may be closed or are being detoured, so that would be where you would go to the site to see a more accurate and updated list as to what to expect. But even though I was saying that this is not something you want to drive in, I want to at least give you some advice so if you absolutely have to. Again, today is not the day to be driving out there. It's just not. The conditions are still getting worse as the night progresses. We're still dropping in temperature. There's still slush on the road that could freeze. It's just an unsafe environment for driving. But if you absolutely have to, I want you to drive very, very, very slowly. at least 15 miles under the speed limit, maybe even less, just whatever you're comfortable with, but at least drive slowly and give a good following distance between the car in front of you if there happens to be somebody. And please gently apply those brakes and do not slam on them. I've had experiences in the past where I slammed on them and I ended up sliding. And thankfully there was not a car in front of me, otherwise I would have for sure hit them. So I got very lucky that night, but it did teach me the valuable lesson of not slamming my brakes during these kinds of events. And if you plan on going uphill in any part of Middle Georgia tonight, please do not let off the gas either, because you might end up losing that momentum and start to slide backwards, and you could either run into somebody who might be behind you, or you could spin out and hit something else, maybe a fire hydrant, another parked car, somebody's mailbox, and especially the mailbox. Do not want to hit any of that stuff. So those are the things that you should be looking out for if you happen to be driving tonight. But besides that winter weather that is in our area, and it might be leaving here soon, these wind chills are also going to be a big deal for us here. We can see that at this current timestamp, wind chills are already into the mid-20s to those teen values. We'll see if this will go just a little bit further to 8 p.m. Again, we're going to be in the teens in places like Thomaston is at 19, Butler's at 17, Milledgeville's at 19. Other places are in the mid-20s like Monticello, Eatonton, Eastman, and then other places like McRae are all the way at 29. And again, these are wind chills. This is what it feels like because we have the temperature mixed with the wind. So it's helping to decrease the actual temperature. And this is what it feels like because of that combination of the temperature and the wind. So these will continue to decrease as we go throughout the night, even possibly reaching into the single digits for some of us here. So it is very, very important that we take note of this and make sure that we stay warm. Here's a look at our wind chill forecast trends. We can see that on Wednesday we'll be right around 12 degrees, which even for me, being from Virginia, that's really, really cold. And then on Thursday, we're going to be at 23 degrees, 20 is Friday, Saturday 22, and Sunday is 25. So even though we will have warming temperatures on Saturday and Sunday, we will still have very, very chilly mornings. So still keep that in mind if you're going back to school or if you're going back to work, to still bring that coat with you and stay warm on those early mornings. Now, things here in Macon tonight, we're going to be at a low of 17 degrees. Again, that snow is going to be ending here in about an hour or two, but nonetheless, it's going to be very, very cold here. Now, tomorrow's forecast, the high is going to be right around 35 degrees. Now, that is going to be above freezing, so things will melt just for a couple of hours while we are above freezing, but that above freezing temperature won't last for very long. So once that stuff does melt and go back to below freezing, things will start to freeze over on the roads. That will still make impacts from this system very important to be aware of. It will still be sunny though, so we will have a little bit of melting from the sun just because the sun rays will make those snow particles go from a solid to a gas, which is a process called sublimation. So there will be some melting regardless, but for the most part, we won't be above freezing for very many hours, but we will still be going back down into those freezing temperatures back into Wednesday night, into early Thursday morning. So again, something to still keep in mind. And keep those 4 Ps in mind as well. We've got people, plants, pets, and pipes. So people, make sure you're covered up well. You've got hats, scarves, gloves, a properly warm jacket, everything like that, because these temperatures are extremely, extremely cold, and prolonged exposure will cause harm. So we want you to have fun out there, but for anyone, if you've got plants or pets, you might want to bring them in, especially if they're typically more of an, for them, they're not going to be safe. You want to keep your fluffy friends safe and your plants from dying on you. So we want to make sure that those are taken care of as well. And so, because again, it is a once in 8-year event for us here in Middle Georgia. I was told the last time it did snow here was 2017. So we want you to have fun. We want you to enjoy it. And if you feel like sharing that fun time with us, you can always do that at wgxa.tv/chime in, or you can also go to this QR code right there and download it right from your phone's app store and share it that way as well. Taking a quick look into the future, just real quick, since we do have this system moving out of our area, is becoming a little bit less of a concern for today. We still are going to be under a weather warn day for tomorrow and Thursday, and that's going to be due to those very, very low temperatures. Again, heading into Thursday morning with 16 degrees, heading into Friday morning with 21 degrees. It's just something to keep in mind with those cold temperatures, because even though we won't have the threat of snow, we will have the threat of very, very cold temperatures. So still putting out a weather warn day for those days. As we head into the weekend, though, things are going to warm up. We have 52 degrees on Saturday, 58 degrees on Sunday. We will still have fairly cold temperatures in the mornings. Again, 21 Saturday morning, 25 Sunday morning, but we will still be getting up to those. And this is still about a week out, so things are up to change. We potentially could have some showers on a Monday, but again, a little far out there, so things could possibly change in the meantime. So, thank you. All right, see what else I can update you guys on since we last were live. Just checking our graphics real quick. Here, we'll see if these alerts have been updated. There we go. Okay. So I know the last time that we did this live, the winter storm warnings were really only extending up towards Monticello and the surrounding counties, but it has actually expanded up more into the metro area of Atlanta, and I'll actually have this zoom out, or not do that. Excuse me. Let me click this back, and we can actually move it, and you can see where that area has gone up to. So that winter storm warning has been extended more northward up to the metro Atlanta area and the surrounding counties. I used to live up here in Gwinnett. I think this is Gwinnett County. Again, I haven't that is. So it has been extended all the way north, and that is because the National Weather Service actually said that this system overproduced, or is to expand this winter storm warning to then give some people, hey, this is something to look out for. Things have actually gotten worse as the day has gone on. So be prepared for this to last just a couple of days. And again, we still have that winter weather advisory here near Carrollton along I-20. And so you might be asking, well, what's the difference between an advisory and a warning? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I do have a graphic that can help explain it for us as well. So here we go. All right, so as far as an advisory goes, that is something that you want to be cautious about. Now, that does mean that we are going to experience some winter weather of some sort. It could be snow up to 2 inches. It could be sleet up to 1/2 inch. It could be freezing rain up to 1/4 of an inch. And there will be some sort of an impact from that advisory area. So that's why it is an advisory for you to be cautious of and to be thinking about. Now, if we're in a warning, that's when you need to take action and be prepared. There's going to be snow of 2 inches or more. There's going to be sleet of 1/2 inch or more. There's going to be freezing rain of 1/4 inch or more. And there will be significant impacts, as I showed you with the road impact map from before, with that major blob right in Macon, Warner Robins, all the way down to Montezuma. Now, thankfully, with this system, it's going to be completely snow. There's not a concern for sleet or freezing rain, unlike the system we had a couple weeks ago that was that wintry mix, that was a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. So thankfully, none of that is of concern this time around, which again makes it for a little bit more of a fun event, especially for us here in central and southern middle Georgia, because last time it was flipped, where the northern parts in metro Atlanta is what got the snow, but this time it's a little bit more on the rare side, where we have that low pressure system out of the Gulf bringing us moisture into the southern part of Georgia to help actually get us some snow down here. So that is what has been changing so far. Those are pretty much the major updates we've seen. So I will again go back to social media, see what's going on, see if there happens to be any more comments in the meantime, see if I can help you guys out if you've got any questions. Might just take me a second. I'm not very Facebook savvy, and that's what I'm checking right here, so it might just take me a second to find the comment, but no worries, I will find it if there is one. All right, I'm not currently seeing anything, which is totally fine, but of course, if you feel like you want to leave a comment, that's totally fine. If you have any question, I'm here to answer it. That's what I'm here for. But otherwise, we will get back to it in case anybody new has joined in the meantime since I have done this last. So we will start out with a live look. This is downtown Macon, a current look down here. This is where our station is located, so this is what we are looking at here for the next hour or two. We still do have some snow falling. It has lightened up just a little bit since I started this stream initially. Our temperature is sitting at 26 degrees, and we do have a wind out of the north at 7 miles an hour. Now, when we did this stream a little bit earlier in the day, those streets were not having any accumulations of snow, but within the last hour, they really have picked up those accumulations, which again are making those roads even more dangerous as the night progresses. It is still a fun sight though, I will say, but not a sight that makes you want to drive or should want to make you drive. It is fun though that we do get to experience a little bit of that snow joy down here in middle Georgia. Moving over to our current satellite and radar, we can see that it is moving out of Mississippi and is making its last little pit stops in Alabama. But the main focus of it is going to be now here in central and southern Georgia. Places like Albany and Valdosta are going to get a lot more snow than we will see here. It just happens that that's where a majority of the moisture ended up going, was down near the southern parts of Georgia. We still do see, again, about 1 to 3 inches here in the mid-state, but places like Albany and Valdosta are really going to see potentially anywhere up to 6 inches as well. So if you got any family down there, maybe see if they can send you some photos, see how they're faring down there. Now we'll take a quick look at our potential snowfall totals that are left to fall from this system. We can see that places over here in Monticello, Forsyth, and Thomaston are on the dwindling side of this system, so we don't expect any more accumulations to occur. Here in Macon, only about 2/10 of an inch that we really expect left from this system. But as we go a little bit further south, which again is where that bigger swath of that snow band is, we still got 1.8 inches in Soperton, 2 inches in Wrightsville, 2 inches in Mount Vernon, so we still expect a good bit amount of snow to fall over the next few hours. And we'll take us hour by hour real quick just to show you a little bit of a breakdown time-wise. So we can see our current timestamp of 8 p.m. Like I was mentioning before, places like Monticello, Forsyth, Thomaston, things are going to be dwindling there. If there's any snowfall, it's really not going to accumulate to anything. It's really just a dusting at this point. We do still have Macon in a little bit of this system, but as we head throughout the rest of the evening, we can see here at 9 p.m. Macon is already out of that system. And as we make our way later on into Tuesday, even into early Wednesday morning, by 12 a.m. we can see only places like Mount Vernon and McRae are still going to be in that path of that winter system. And even as we move our way into the early morning hours of Wednesday, by 5 a.m. everybody is going to stop getting snow. It's going to be out here on its way off to Savannah, South Carolina, places like that. Like Gray, Forsyth, Thomaston, all the way down into the teens. Now this is just the temperature. This is even the wind chill forecast. So things will even be colder than this. So it is something to still keep in mind that even though we will have snow ending, those cold temperatures are going to overtake and be the main concern. Now, like I was mentioning, as far as concerns go for this system, even though it is on its way out, we still are going to feel the lasting impacts of this system. So earlier in the day today, here in Middle Georgia, a majority of us were under this moderate, which is this orange looking color, and a majority of us were in that moderate section. There were a couple places like Cordele, Americus, and a little bit of Montezuma that were in that major part of the impacts, but now it has made its way up into Macon and Warner Robins. So it's just to prove that this system is very impactful and is to be taken seriously. This is not the kind of weather that you should be driving in. I know it's very pretty. I think it's also very pretty, but this is not the time to be going and driving around. We've had multiple reports of people being in multiple pileups, accidents, anything like that. So it truly is something to be cautious of and to really take seriously and be safe. And as far as if you advise, but if you are going to, I want to give you a couple tips as to how to be safe on the roads if you are going to. You're going to want to drive very, very, very slowly. I suggest 15 miles under, maybe even more if you feel like that you need to. I personally would probably go maybe 10 miles an hour right now on MLK Boulevard. So that's just me personally. Again, this is not the time to drive, but if you have to, drive very, very slowly. And gently apply brakes. I cannot emphasize this enough. I have a personal story of a couple winters ago when I still lived in Virginia and it snowed there. I had just gotten off work at like 10 p.m. I was heading home. I was tired after a long shift and I ended up slamming the brakes just a little bit and it made me slide. And thankfully there was no one in front of me, otherwise I would have hit that car. So I got very lucky that night, but that's not to say that I wouldn't get lucky again or I might run out of that luck. So you don't want to test your luck tonight either. So please just gently apply those brakes so you don't end up sliding across the street. Now, if you plan on going uphill, do not let off that gas because that forward momentum is going to keep you going up that hill. And if you let off the gas, you're going to lose that momentum and potentially go back down the hill. And if there's someone behind you, or you could potentially spin out and maybe hit a fire hydrant, you could hit a parked car, anything like that. And that's something you do not want to do either. Because again, first responders are going to come and have to respond to you. And even they could get stuck in this snow as well, which again, would not be good for any kind. So I advise you to please, please, please stay off the roads tonight. Now, another thing to keep in mind though is that we do have the 4 Ps when it comes to winter weather. We've got people, pets, pipes, and plants. So as far as people goes, we do want to make sure that we are layering up. We've got gloves, we've got scarves, we've got properly warm jackets, even hats. Because again, this is something that we do want you to have fun with, but we just want you to be safe because these temperatures are going to be chilly. And here, I'll bring up our wind chills real quickly as well, just to re-emphasize how cold it really is going to be. We can see even here at 8:15, places are now in the teens, in the mid-20s in some places like Monticello and Eatonton. McRae is again still a little bit up there at 29, but most of us are going to be in the teens and dropping into Wednesday morning. Even some of us, maybe even into the single digits. So please, if you're going to go out there and enjoy that snow, which I do encourage you to do from home, not from driving, you want to make sure that you are bundled up appropriately because long exposure to this can cause harm. So as far as pipes go, you want to make sure that you are dripping those overnight because you don't want them to freeze, or you don't want them to bust either because that, again, is not going to be a good time. And we do have these freezing temperatures lasting for the next couple of days, so it is something to keep in mind even though this winter system is getting behind us at this time. We do also want to make sure we're bringing in our plants and our pets because some of them can't withstand this temperature, and even though they tend to, maybe you have a pet that tends to be an outside pet, you still want to bring them in. You want your fluffy friends to be safe tonight as well. And so that's just, again, something you want to keep in mind and be safe about.
Hey, you need to take a break. Put up if you get tired, but keep going if you want to. This will get you ready for severe weather.
Right. Continuing on tonight, we are going to be getting down to a low of 17 degrees for even me being Virginia born. This is very, very cold. We are going to still see a little bit of snow for the next hour or so, but it will be ending here around 9 p.m. Probably going to take a look out there in about 30 minutes and see what it's kind of looking like. But here in Macon, things are going to be very, very cold, as well as other places across middle Georgia. Now, tomorrow's forecast, we might be getting above freezing for just a little bit. You know, we will see a high of 35 degrees. Now, I don't expect this high to last for very long, where it's above that freezing point of 32 degrees. So if we have any melting, it won't be for super long. And there could be some, or not could, there will be some melting from the sun, and that is because even though we might not be above freezing, the sun still has the power to evaporate that snow from its solid form of ice and turn it into water vapor, which is the gas form. And that process from solid to gas is called sublimation. So you still will see some melting of that snow, even if we are still below freezing. So that'll be for tomorrow's forecast. And looking a little bit further off into the future, we will see that we still do have a weather warned day for tomorrow and Thursday. Again, because of those dangerously cold temperatures, you can see that heading into Thursday morning, we're still at that 16 degrees. So we still want to be bundled up. We still want to keep those taps open and not freeze those pipes. So that's why we still have a weather warned day out for Wednesday and Thursday. As we head off into Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be mostly sunny skies. We're going to be experiencing some clear weather and a little bit of that warming up here on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be into the high of 52 and 58, which I am relieved to hear. Getting back to those more average temperatures, we do see that on Monday there is the potential for some showers. We will be keeping a close eye on that, seeing where that is going to end up, if it will actually end up raining on Monday. Again, we are still about 6 days out from that, so it's a little bit harder to tell, but as we get closer to the event, we will keep you up to date. And here on Tuesday, getting to a high of 65 degrees, and that is exciting for me. Again, it is subject to change and probably will change, but the fact that there is a chance is still exciting for me. So we'll just take a quick look at our live camera real quick, see kind of what we're looking at. Yeah, still more of the same. We still do have that snow falling. I know it's a little bit hard to tell. You can kind of see right around the lights or right over here back behind me. Still see some of that snow falling. And those roads, again, don't look very good out there. Don't get into drive and try to make do with what you have tonight if at all possible. I'm glad to see these roads are mainly empty. We do have that one car off in the distance, but it looks like they are going slow, which is good to hear, or good to see, excuse me, not good to hear. So let's see. And yes, if you are joining us, we're actually going to get ready to take a quick look at that winter storm warning and winter weather advisory, and we're going to see that this actually has extended off into the northern parts of Georgia. So originally this warning did stop right around here near Monticello, and this was kind of the line for where that windstorm warning kind of transferred into a winter weather advisory, And we can see that has been upgraded to a winter storm warning for parts of metro Atlanta and even even towards where UGA is over in Athens. I actually used to live up here near Gwinnett County, so that's where I came from before I came here. So it is spanning all the way up to where I even used to live. So it is something to keep in mind that if you happen to be traveling for work, which I hope you don't have to go into work tomorrow. I know there are some bosses out there that might still make you go in, but take it from me, this is not the weather to be driving in. This is something you want to stay home for if at all possible, especially because I know some people do commute all the way to Atlanta. So that is something to keep in mind if you happen to be making any travel plans over the next couple of days. Atlanta did experience some of this, and it will still be freezing weather for them as well. So again, icy spots, any stuff like that, and an increase in accidents along I-75, I-85, all the way down here to Macon. So again, those have been updated by the National Weather Service because road impacts have gone up since they originally predicted this system. It is overperforming, so we have seen a little bit more snow than they initially thought. So that's why a lot of places up here in the metro area got upgraded to a winter storm warning. Now you may be asking me, what's the difference? What's the difference between a warning and an advisory? Well, I'm glad you asked because I do have a graphic that will help explain it here really quickly. I just got to find it, and then here we are. So let's go. All right, we do have that advisory going on. So for an advisory, it is going to be something that you want to take caution with. We do know that winter weather is expected with an advisory, but as far as how much is a little bit more unknown. There could be snow up to 2 inches, there could be sleet up to a ½ an inch, and there could be freezing rain up to 1/4 of an inch, and there will be some, so it is something to be cautious of and be prepared for in case it is to turn into a warning. Now, a warning is something that you want to be prepared for and take action because there's going to be snow of 2 inches or more, there's going to be sleet of ½ an inch or more, or there's going to be freezing rain of 1/4 inch or more. Now, all of these parameters do not have to be met in order for you to get a winter storm warning. It's really just one of these, and thankfully for this system, it's only going to be snow within this system as a whole, which thankfully is a good news for us because freezing rain is really the hardest thing to predict and to be safe with. So I know a couple weeks ago we did have that winter system come through that was a wintry mix of that snow, sleet, and freezing rain. So thankfully we only have to worry about snow this time around. Now I'm just going to take a quick look at those snow totals again, just because it has been about 10 minutes, see if they've updated just a tad. And they have. It has moved down a little bit more to the south because even here in Macon, we're down to our last 10th inch that we should be seeing from any of this snow. And again, places like Mount Vernon are now under the 2-inch mark that we had been seeing before. So it truly is making its way out of middle Georgia. So if you're going to go enjoy that snow, this is the time because it is starting to dwindle down. You don't have to worry about it getting in your eyes or anything like that. So again, if you're going to head out there in the next hour, be safe because temperatures still are going to drop even with the snow stopping. But otherwise, enjoy it and be able to share with us because we do have this app called Chime In where you are able to share those photos with us, and we'd love to see from you. We'd love to see you having fun in this very rare event for us here, or scan this QR code, to be able to download the Chime In app and be able to submit it that way. Again, we'd love to see what you're up to and hope you're all having a good and safe evening with this system. Now, I have been talking for quite a bit, so I'm actually going to take a quick break and get some water, go to the bathroom, everything like that. But we will be back around 8:45, 9-ish to kind of give you more of an update, especially with that moving out of here around 9 here in Macon. So stay tuned, take a quick break yourself. I'm going to go get some water, rest up just a little bit, and we will be back. But so far, I hope you have been updated, hope that I've been able to answer everything that I've been able to. And I see here Emily Russell, hi from Eastman. Hey, hope you're doing well. Hope everything's going well for you over Cordeal. That is pretty crazy, I know. I mean, here in Macon, you probably have, trying to use my best guess, I would say maybe like an inch, 1.5 inches as of current. So 4 inches is pretty crazy. So I'm happy for you there. Of course, go out and enjoy it if you can and be safe. Thank you for sharing as always. I'm just gonna put it back on our little radar and we will be back later. But again, of course, enjoy some nice warm soup if you can, enjoy that colder weather, and we will be back. All right, and take care in the meantime. I'll be back in actually just 1 second. I have to have Ryan sign in for the computer real quick. So give me 1 sec. Alrighty, thank you, Ryan. Now we are back in business to get this started again. So again, welcome back everyone who was here before, and if you are new, we are going to be giving some updates into this winter weather event. Now at this point, it is starting to dwindle here in Macon. There are still some spots near McRae and Mount Vernon that still are experiencing some snow, but we are starting to see some places dry out and stop experiencing any of that snowfall. So I'm just going to get things situated here, and we'll get on started. So, alrighty. So this right here is going to be a look at our radar, and over in this area right near Thomaston, a little bit above it, we can see that this is where that back end of that system is going to be, and it's starting to make its way slowly across middle Georgia over to Forsyth, Monticello, and even Gray. Even places like here in Macon. I did just step out just a few minutes ago, and it was still snowing, so that is always cool and fun to see, but it is going to be moving out of here within the next couple of hours. Now, as far as temperatures go, we can see that places across the board are going to be around the mid-20s. Now, Mount Vernon is always going to be a little bit on its own here. It's going to be at 30 degrees, but it will also continue to drop. Just like the rest of Middle Georgia, we're going to be dropping in those temperatures as we progress throughout the night. Now, taking a quick look at our hour-by-hour forecast will give you a little bit better of a sense as to what it will look like heading into tomorrow. So this is what the models are showing here. Again, like I was saying, it is still snowing just a tad here in Macon, but it is making its way out of here, and this is here at that timestamp of 9 p.m. Places like Wrightsville, Soperton, Eastman are still experiencing a good bit of snow and probably will for the following hour, and we'll take a quick look here as we move towards 10 p.m. Again, making its way past Warner Robins, Irvington, Sandersville, and then we'll head into 11 p.m. And 12 a.m. And once we head right into Wednesday, only places like Mount Vernon and McRae are really still going to be seeing any of this system left over. And then once we head into the early morning hours off into Wednesday, this system will be out of here. It'll be on its way into South Carolina and beyond, and it will be out of here, but the thing to keep in mind is that we are going to have a dip in those temperatures. Again, most of us here are going to be in those teens. So see here in Thomaston, 17, Butler, 17, Monticello, 17, Cochran, Hawkinsville, and Abbeville are all going to be in the low 20s. Mount Vernon, even as low as 25 there. So even though that winter threat is going to be out of here, those freezing temperatures are going to come into play and be significant, and we want to keep on looking for that. So we'll take a quick look at our snowfall totals that are still here to come and to fall into our area. So now we have moved on. Places like Eatonton, Monticello, Forsyth, all should not be expecting any more accumulations from this system. Here in Macon, we really only are expecting 1/10 of an inch left. Places like Dublin, Cochran, Hawkinsville, about 1/2 inch just about. And then again, those places in the southern part of central Georgia are still kind of in the main part of that system. So they still are expecting about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, especially in Mount Vernon, to still fall as we head throughout the night. Now these will start to change again as the system moves out of here, and you'll start to experience less and less accumulations, and especially here in Macon, where we are located, we're going to start to see a dwindling of that snow. Now, even though that snow is going to be out of here, that doesn't get rid of the fact that this still is a very impactful and has been a very impactful event. Taking a quick look at our winter storm impacts, things actually, this is different from when we were on live about 30 minutes to 45 minutes ago. It looks like those impact levels have gone down for us here in most of Middle Georgia. We're now in the minor section of these impacts. So again, even though we have gone down in impact level, does not disregard the fact that it is still dangerous out there. You should still not be driving, and you still do want to take caution if you have to leave your house and go travel. In places like Monticello and Thomaston, those northern parts of those areas are down to a limited impact, but again, places like Vidalia, McRae are still on the moderate side of those things. So again, please, I would advise you to stop, or not to stop, to not go out and drive, and if you are currently driving, to make your way home and be safe. Now, we do have a little bit of those major impacts down over here. It looks like they have moved off more towards the Savannah and South Carolina area, but for most of us here in Middle Georgia, it has actually lessened just a little bit. Now, as far as these impacts go, if you are to absolutely have to drive tonight, I want to give you at least a couple tips on what to do. Again, to start with, this is not the weather to be driving in, even though those impacts have gone down just a little bit. Roads are still going to be slushy. They're going to freeze overnight. It's still going to create those slick spots, especially on bridges that freeze a little bit faster than the main roads do. So again, only if absolutely necessary should you be driving tonight into tomorrow. If you are going to be driving, drive very slowly, anywhere from 15 to 10 miles below the speed limit. Even slower if you think that is what's more comfortable for you and what's going to keep you safe. Don't worry about other drivers if they try to pressure you. It's all about those brakes. Do not slam on them. I have a personal experience from a couple years ago, back when I lived in Virginia. I was working kind of late into 10 p.m. and we had some snow roll on through, gave us a couple inches, and then as I was on my way home, I actually ended up slamming on the brakes just a little bit, and it caused me to slide. Now, I was lucky enough that there wasn't somebody in front of me, but that's not to say that the next time there might have been somebody. So I got lucky that time around, but you don't want to play it. You don't want to play it risky. You don't want to risk it in general. So again, be gentle with those brakes and don't slam on them. And if you're planning on going uphill at all, be sure to not let go of that gas, because you will have that forward momentum to help keep you going. But because it is a little bit slicker with that snow mixed with possibly ice into tomorrow, we want to make sure that we don't let off the gas to potentially go back down the hill. You might run into somebody who's trying to drive up behind you. You might spin out, hit a parked car, hit a fire hydrant, even hit a mailbox, which is just going to be even more of a headache. And especially if you have first responders come out, they could also possibly get stuck as well, which is going to help prevent them or keep them from other people and help rescuing them as well. So above all, just it's not the time to be driving, and you really should be keeping and staying safe out there is the main thing that I want to get across to you. And even though we've been talking about how this winter storm is going to impact us, once it moves out of our area later tonight, what's going to be the main concern are our temperatures. This is our current look at our wind chills. Places even like Thomaston are already down into 16-degree territory. Now again, wind chills are not the actual temperatures. This is just what we are feeling because of the temperature plus the wind. So the temperatures might be a little bit higher in your area, but that wind added in is bringing us down, and again, to those teens. Like Thomaston is 16, Macon here is 19 degrees. Gray are in the mid-20s, places like Cochrane, Hawkinsville down in the teens as well. Even Mount Vernon is actually going to be down in the 22-degree area with these wind chills. So this is going to be our main concern throughout the next couple of days, which is why we've actually given out a weather warn day for the next couple of days as well. And just to reiterate that, here's a look at our wind chill trends forecast for the next week. So tomorrow on Wednesday, we're going to be having a low of 12 degrees. Thursday is 23, Friday is 20. Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be a slight uptick to 22 and 25. And on Saturday and Sunday, we will have a little bit of warming in general, up to those 50s for the highs. But it doesn't take away the fact that it is still going to be very chilly in the mornings. So you want to be prepared for when those kids do go back to school. There we go. And you go back to work in the mornings, that you're adequately prepared and have proper clothing to be able to send them off to school or to make your way into work. So again, we do have that winter system moving out of our area, but it is still important to know that we are going to have freezing temperatures that are going to be coming in behind it and are going to keep things very cold. Now, here in Macon for tonight, we're actually going to be hitting a low of 17 degrees. And again, that snow is still falling as of now, but will be stopping within the next hour or so. And once we head into tomorrow's forecast, we're actually going to be getting above freezing for just a couple of hours to hit a high of 35 degrees. Now, some things will begin to melt just a little bit. Again, it's only going to be for a short period of time. So if anything is to melt, it will freeze later on in the night once we go back into sub-freezing temperatures. And even if it is still below freezing, there is a chance for something to melt just because that sun is beating down on the snow, and that is because of a process called sublimation. This is where the sun will turn that snow particle, where it's solid ice, into a gas. So it turns it from the solid of ice into the gas form of water vapor. So even though, again, it will be below freezing, there is still the chance for it to still melt just a little bit. But as we head into Wednesday night into Thursday morning, again, things will start to refreeze and cause some slick spots, again, causing impact troubles across middle Georgia and into southern Georgia and up into the metro Atlanta area, which is what I want to hit on next. We do have an update on our winter weather alerts. They just got updated just a couple of hours ago. We did get a winter storm warning, set here in middle Georgia yesterday, but as we have gone throughout today, it has expanded up into metro Atlanta. So again, all of us here are under that winter storm warning, but as we head up north towards Atlanta, that's where that has been expanded to. And this is because the National Weather Service has told us that they actually saw this system overperform just a little bit. It gave us a little bit more snow and precipitation than we were initially thinking. So those roads up near the metro area were starting to get a little bit more worse off than were initially predicted. So that's why it has been expanded up here to give people more of a, hey, this is something that we're looking at. This is something that is currently happening and you need to be cautious and safe and don't drive, especially in the metro area with just how many people are there and use the I-20 corridor, use I-75, use I-85. So it really is a big issue for them there as well. So that's why they went ahead and put out that winter storm warning. Now, we still do have places that are in that winter weather advisory off towards the east of Athens. So you may be wondering, what's really the difference between a winter weather advisory and a winter warning? Well, so we do have a difference between the two, even though they do seem very, very similar. When it comes to an advisory, this is something you want to be cautious of. We are still expecting winter precipitation. It's just how much is still a little bit unknown. So that's why it's snow up to 2 inches, sleet up to ½ an inch, or freezing rain up to 1/4 of an inch. There will be some impacts associated with an advisory, so it is really something to just be aware of, be prepared, and take caution for if it turns into a winter storm warning. Now, as far as a warning goes, this is something that you would want to take action for. You want to make sure that you're prepared, you have supplies ready, and that you're ready for this to make some sort of a significant impact on your daily life. We'll have snow of 2 inches or more, possible of sleet at ½ an inch or more, or freezing rain of 1/4 of an inch or more. Now, all three of these conditions don't have to be met. Only one of them does in order to initiate a warning. And thankfully for this system, it's going to be completely made of snow, no sleet, no freezing rain, which was the case for the system 2 weeks ago, which was more of a wintry mix, which is a mixture of that snow, sleet, and freezing rain. So again, this event is going to be purely snow and will have significant impacts on those your daily travels, as I was mentioning before, with our winter storm travel impact levels. Now, taking a look at our 10-day forecast, just to look at things a little bit ahead in the future since this winter storm is moving on out of here. Again, we still have a weather-worn day for tomorrow and Thursday because of those dangerously cold lows. Again, 16 as a low moving into Thursday morning, and then Friday morning we'll see a low of 21. And like I was mentioning before, we do have a warming up trend here on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is going to be a high of 52. Sunday is a high of 58. So again, even though those lows are still going to be relatively cold, we will still have more of those typical and average like temperatures for this time of year in the upper 50s. We'll even potentially get a chance to see mid 60s next Tuesday with partly cloudy skies near the afternoon. Now, there could be a chance of showers on Monday, but that is something that we will keep you updated on just because it is still about a week out. So things are subject to change. So don't want to tell you anything in confidence right now, but it is still a possibility. And the fact that it could be in the 60s next week, even though it could change, the fact that there is a chance is still exciting. So what I'm going to do right now is we're actually going to take a look into downtown Macon and see what we can see if there's still any snow falling or if it is kind of subsided. So we can see here that it actually has stopped. So most likely this is going to be the end of it for here in Macon. I don't see anything. I mean, well, you can kind of see a little bit here. I'll move this computer. You can see just a tad still falling out there, but this is probably going to be the remainder of what we see. Nothing of significance is really going to fall. Again, like I was mentioning, the majority of that system has moved out of Macon and will be making its way out of Middle Georgia over the next couple of hours. So this is roughly about what I think that we were supposed to get. You know, we were saying for us here in the station, probably 1 inch to 2 inches, and I would say my best guess, I don't know for sure, but my best guess is about 1.5 inches to possibly 2 inches in some areas. So thankfully the roads don't look as bad. I think the plows might have gone through. I'm not sure. I think we just got an email saying that they just started to plow in the surrounding areas, so they might be on their way or they just did. But that is the current live look into downtown Macon. So what I'm going to do now is go take a look onto Facebook, see if there are any updated comments, see if you guys have any questions for me, and if not, or whenever I finish answering them, we'll go back and do a wrap up just in case anybody else has happened to have any more questions or have any more concerns. So how will driving conditions be Wednesday afternoon? Driving conditions will be, it's hard to say exactly what the specifics are. We can give you a good idea of what they could be. I will think that they will still be a little bit slick. You know, we do have those rising temperatures into above freezing near the afternoon hours, which will help things melt a little bit. And we probably will have some plow crews come through overnight into the early morning hours to help clear things off the main roads. But I would still advise being safe on the roads tomorrow in the afternoon hours of Wednesday, because again, it is going to start to freeze over in the afternoon hours heading into Thursday, which will refreeze anything that has melted or thawed out. So I would still use some caution when you drive tomorrow on Wednesday afternoon. But in their website, they have a lot more of it as anything in regards to specific conditions. But as for now, I think that's all that I can see on my end. So we'll just, again, take it back from the top in case anybody else has joined in the meantime. And we'll keep it on going. So we'll start off with our current satellite. So like I was mentioning before, that system has made its way out of Mississippi. It's taking its last few steps through Alabama and its western part of middle Georgia. Macon just now got out of that. We started to slow our snowfall just a little bit. So there are a couple other places down here below Macon, like McRae and Mount Vernon, that are still going to have a little bit of snowfall for the next hour or so. But most of us are starting to dry out, and that snowfall is starting to dwindle. Like I was mentioning before, today's snow event wasn't going to be a very long one. It lasted for the afternoon into tonight. So for me, I think that's a very good length. I think the snow will stay around for a day or two and then will melt away. Length, because again, places up in Virginia, you'd get snow for a week plus, and you wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store. You'd really have to be staying at home. You know, you'd get sick of your family, just stuff like that. So I think that just having a day or two is the perfect amount for snow. So all good on that front. Now we'll take a quick look at the expected totals to still fall. I don't expect there to be much of them left. Again, places like Eatonton, Monticello, Forsyth, Thomaston, all along the northern border of middle Georgia have stopped accumulating any type of snow. Dublin, Hawkinsville, right around just about an inch left that they could expect. Wrightsville, Soperton, and Mount Vernon are still going to be, they're fluctuating. They have changed over the last 10 minutes. Mount Vernon has gone up just a little bit from below 3 inches to now 3.2. Wrightsville and Soperton are hovering right around the 9, and within the next couple of hours, it will be out of here. Now, taking a quick look at our hour-by-hour forecast, we can get a little bit more into the specifics of where this system is heading. So, again, here at 9 p.m., places up near Monticello, Eatonton, Forsyth, they're all going to be stopping with snow and being left in the mid-20 temperature region. Here in Macon, it's making its way out here. It's kind of split down the middle here in Macon-Bibb County. And then, again, places like Soperton, Mount Vernon, and McRae are still in a slightly dark purple area, indicating a little bit of heavier snow activity. But again, as we will see here, as we move throughout the rest of the night into 10 p.m., into 11, things will start to move on out of here. And even by 12 a.m., just the last couple of few counties down in southeastern middle Georgia will still be experiencing that snow. And then as we head off into the early morning hours of Wednesday, all of middle Georgia will be will be left without snowfall. But those temperatures are going to be dangerously cold. We are going to have Monticello at 17, Forsyth at 19, Thomaston at 17, and then other places like Dublin at 21. Even Mount Vernon's going to be down into the mid-20s. So even if Mount Vernon's going to be pretty cold tonight, you know the rest of us are going to be very, very cold. Now, with the winter storm mainly behind us at this point, we can still talk about those winter storm impacts, because even if it has moved on as a system, it still has lingering impacts when it comes to travel. So this has updated within the last hour. It has lessened a little bit for us here in middle Georgia. A large portion of us were in that this orange, which was the moderate level, but now we're more on the minor side of things. We do have a couple places near Thomaston, Forsyth, and Monticello where it's split in the middle, where it's more on this limited side of impacts, and then we still do have down in Vidalia and McRae in the moderate side of things. We did have a portion of Macon, Warner Robins, Montezuma in the major side of things, and as the system has moved on, things have lightened up just a little bit, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you shouldn't be driving. This is not the weather to be going out and saying, wow, this is so pretty, I need to take a quick drive. It's not worth it, because you could get into an accident, you could slide off the road, a multitude of things could happen. It is very pretty, but try to enjoy it from home. This is not the type of weather that you want to be driving on or sightseeing with either. So no, if there is the possibility that you have to drive, first off, of course, I absolutely advise against it. Again, this is just not the time to be doing it, so please stay home if possible. We want you to enjoy today, of course. This is the first time it has snowed in the last 7 to 8 years, but we want you to do it safely, so from home is your best option. But if it's absolutely a necessity for you to drive tonight, just do it very, 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 very slowly. I would say anywhere from 15 miles an hour below the speed limit. You can be even slower if you want to, depending on how comfortable you feel. It's really up to you, and I don't want you to get pressured by the people behind you, because at the end of the day, you don't want to get in a car accident, and you don't want to get stuck out there and have first responders come out and then possibly get stuck. It would be one big headache. So overall, just stay home if at all possible. When it comes to applying those brakes, please be gentle with them and don't slam on them. I've had a personal experience of after I got off work one time a couple years ago, it had snowed just a couple of inches, and I was just about to get home, but I ended up seeing a stop sign come from around a tree, so I had to slam on brakes just a little bit, but in return, I actually ended up sliding. So thankfully, there was no one in front of me, because otherwise they would have been hit. So I got lucky in that department, but again, I can't say that wouldn't happen, I can't say that there wouldn't be a car in front of me the next time, and you don't want to risk it. It's just not worth it. So again, be gentle with those brakes and apply them very, very gently. If you're going to be going uphill as well, please do not let off the gas. That forward momentum is going to keep you going up that hill, and if you begin to let off the gas, you will probably begin to slide backwards. You could slide into somebody who's behind you. You might hit a parked car. You might hit a fire hydrant. You might hit a mailbox. You could hit a whole slew of things. So again, if you're going uphill, make sure to not let off the gas if at all possible, just to avoid falling backwards. Now, I know we've been talking a lot about the snow and snowfall and where it's going to end up and everything like that, but the thing that is the big danger once this winter storm has passed, here at 923, places like Thomaston and Butler are down into 17, even Americus is down into 16. Now we do have a couple other places like Soperton that are in the mid-20s, also Eatonton at 26, Monticello at 25. But across here in Middle Georgia, you're either going to be in the teens, and as we go throughout tonight, we're going to be dropping down into the teens across Middle Georgia with the possibility to even get down into the single digits at some point. So this is going to be the true danger after this winter storm has left, and it's something that you want to be aware of and be prepared for. Now, there are 4 P's that we talk about when it comes to winter weather and extremely cold temperatures. That's going to be your people, your pipes, your plants, and your pets. So first off, people. We want you to have fun with this, because this is something that doesn't happen very often. We want you to enjoy that snow and have fun, but we want you to do it and be safe, because prolonged exposure to this type of cold can be harmful. So make sure you've got adequate gloves, scarves, hats, proper warm jackets, anything like that. And especially since these freezing temperatures are going to last throughout the rest of the week in the morning hours, if you happen to be going back to school Thursday morning or even Friday morning, it's still going to be chilly and below freezing when the bus gets there. So make sure you are adequately prepared for that. And so moving on to pipes, you want to make sure that overnight you want to be dripping those, so you don't want your pipes to freeze. You also don't want them to bust, because again, we're going to have prolonged freezing temperatures. So if it is to bust now, it's going to cause a whole slew of problems to not only be an annoyance for tonight. Plants, again, you want to bring them inside, because a lot of plants can't withstand this cold temperature. And the same goes with your pets. I know some people like to keep them outside, but this is just that kind of weather that you don't want them to. You want to keep your fluffy friends safe and warm tonight. Maybe as the week goes on, when things start to warm up a little bit, you can let them back out. But at least for the next couple of days, I would advise bringing them in for overnight hours, just to keep them safe from these teens that we're going to be experiencing. Here we can see a little bit more of that trend for those wind chills over the next few days. Wednesday is going to be 12 degrees in the morning, even for me, being from a little bit more up north, this is very extreme and very cold. So it's something to take seriously. Thursday is 23, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday into the possible mid-50s. But we are still going to have below freezing morning temperatures. So even though you might still be getting back to regular life like school, work, any of your hobbies, just make sure that and safe from these cold temperatures. Now here in Macon tonight, the temperature is going to get down to 17 degrees. And again, that snow is ending within the next hour and is already starting to end on our side of town. As far as tomorrow's forecast goes though, we are going to be hitting a high of 35 degrees. This could allow for a little bit of melting here in Macon, but that won't last for very long because that high above freezing will only be for a couple of hours. Now, there could be some melting from the sun just being directly on this process called sublimation. That's when you have your solid of ice, which is what snow is, turns into water vapor, which is the gas state. So it goes from a solid to a gas. There's no going to a liquid, no in between. It just goes straight from a solid straight to a gas. So it's called sublimation, and that is a potential for us to have some meltage on Wednesday tomorrow since it is going to be a clear sky. Now again, those temperatures are going to go back down into below freezing into Thursday, so we're not out of the woods quite yet. So taking a look into the future just a little bit, we can see that we still do have a weather warn day for tomorrow and Thursday due to those very, very cold temperatures. Again, going from Wednesday into Thursday morning, that low of 16 degrees is something to be of concern. And then, like I was mentioning, we do have a slight warming trend heading into the weekend with highs in the mid-50s to upper 50s when we hit Sunday. Now, we do have the potential for showers come next Monday, but once we hit Sunday, or not Sunday, Tuesday, we're going to be hitting potentially the mid-60s, which I know things still could change even though it is a week out, but the chance that there could be the potential for temperatures in the 60s is still exciting. So we'll keep you up to date on what that is going to look like. But in the meantime, if you've had any fun so far in the snow, you're always feel free to send them to us here at the Chime In app. You can either type in your internet browser wgxa.tv/chimein, or you could go to our QR code right here on your phone, be able to scan it, download the Chime In app, and be able to send it in that way. We'd of course love to see what you guys are up to, what you guys have been able to accomplish, and just see what kind of fun you've had today. I've been mainly here today kind of working with Ryan, making sure everybody is up to date. I was able to step out just a little bit, and it was relaxing for maybe 30 seconds, and then I was like, yeah, it's pretty cold. So I came back inside and got a little warmed up before I got back on here. But I will take a quick look at social media, see if there's anything else going on. All right, so Lauren Black says there are 6 inches here in Cordele. Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, I'm not surprised. We did talk about that there is the chance for overperformance of weather. Like I was mentioning, I did say that there were chances for there to be anywhere from 4 to 6 inches south of the Macon-Columbus line. Now, I know our models weren't exactly showing all the way up to 6 inches just because, again, that is a model. It does take an average of things. So there was that possibility of 6 inches. So I'm surprised that it did get all the way to 6 inches down there in Cordele, Lauren. But thank you for sharing. That is super exciting. Here we've got Sandra Harden saying, we'll be glad when it stops snowing. You and me both. Even though I do walk home from work, it is still something that I do have to keep in mind because I did slip a little bit when I was on my way back from my dinner break. So I will be glad that it'll stop just a little bit. Again, I like it to be around for a day or two, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it to be warm again. This was fun. It was cool, but I'm good to go back to above freezing temperatures. And then we also have Ariabel Barron. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. I'll do my best. That's great. It's super cool to hear that we're getting some good amounts here across Middle. I got as much as I was hoping here in Macon, but I think that's okay for sake of travel. But I'm glad that some people are still getting to experience a good amount of snow around that 5 to 6 inch range. Excuse me. And Lauren is saying that it is still coming down pretty good over in Cordele. So yeah, like I was saying, we'll cut back to that radar real quick. Or, excuse me, wrong one. Let me get the right one out for us. All right. So we'll stop it right here. So again, this is what sorry, I thought I stopped it there. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just have to click and drag it myself. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll get the picture as I explained it. Like I was saying before, it does make sense that we're still seeing heavy snow down in the Cordele area because again, that's where that dark purple band is still going to be. Again, the back end of that system is clearing out in Thomaston, Forsyth. Even here in Macon, it's lightening up and it's going to start to dwindle with that snowfall. But still, places like Mount Vernon, McRae, Abbeville, and Cordele are still going to be in a fairly heavy band of snow. So I do still expect there to be heavy snow for the next hour or two. So it's good to hear that it's still happening down in Cordele. So thank you for sharing again, Lauren. Go back one more time, see anything else. Eric is asking to show the radar again. Absolutely, I got you, Eric. So yeah, snow ending up here in the northern part or northwestern part of middle Georgia, and it's still continuing to be quite a bit heavy on the western or the eastern, side of things and southeastern side as it makes its way. And again, I can show that hour by hour forecast as well real quick. And like I was mentioning before, here in Macon, it's really on its way out. You can see it's on that halfway mark in between Macon-Bibb County. So that's here around 9 p.m. Switch it up to 10 p.m. now in Sandersville, Irvington, Warner Robins. It's making its way out there. Then at 11 p.m., Dublin is starting to make its way out of that area. And then 12 a.m., you're really only going to have a couple places like Soperton, Mount Vernon, and McRae that are still going to experience any of the snow from this system. And as we head into the morning hours of Wednesday, all of us here are going to be out of that system, but still experiencing sub-freezing temperatures into the teens. Like I was mentioning, this is the big thing to worry about once this snow is out of here. And I'll show those wind chills once again. So we can see that here it is 17 in Thomaston, 17 in Butler, 16 in Americus, and other places are still in the mid to low 20s. And these will continue to drop as the night goes on. So again, make sure that you've got some sort of heat as you go to sleep if possible, or just make sure you've got some blankets. Again, don't use don't use a stove to warm your place, because if you have a gas stove, that could cause carbon monoxide poisoning, or if you have an electric stove, that could just waste a whole bunch of power, and also it's just not safe in general because anything could fall on it and cause a fire, or anything like that. So again, make sure that you have something proper to help warm your place because things are going to get cold here. I'll go back and check one more time just to see anything else. Again, I think I'm probably going to go home here later tonight and try to, again, have something a little bit warm, maybe even have a coffee, hopefully decaf, because I do have to come to work tomorrow, so I can't be staying up all night, but I do want to at least have something a little bit warm and maybe just enjoy the quietness of the snow over the overnight hours as we head into tomorrow. I think that is a pretty good update for this system. Like I was saying, the main things from this is that it is halfway through middle Georgia. So again, the northern parts up here, Monticello, Forsyth, Thomaston. Here, I'll get that other radar pulled up real quick just so I can go on a loop so we can have that in the background. But again, those northern parts to northwestern are around that time that we had mentioned where things are going to be starting to shift out of here. Parts, again, in Warner Robins, Cochran, Hawkinsville still are experiencing a little bit of that heavy snow, and especially down in Cordele, Abbeville, and McRae. Like Lauren was saying, they got 5.5 inches there, which is really cool to hear. So again, still in this big swath of that deeper purple, but over the next couple of hours heading into midnight, this system should be out of here and will lighten up of things. But again, remember, freezing temperatures are to come, so that is something to be concerned about and be aware of as we head into tomorrow as well. Now, I don't know if Ryan wants to come over here and say anything else if I don't think anything has been added. But other than that, I think we should be good. I think that was a pretty good update as to what's going on for now. Could be updating later, but if not, we do have an 11 show here at ABC 16. So if you want even more updates as this progresses, be sure to check that out. But as for now, that's been me, Meteorologist Noah Hauck, with the update for tonight. And of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them down below. And as I head off here and start to end things, I can always go back and re-answer them for you, give you a little bit more of an explanation if I couldn't do it up here for you. But other than that, hope you guys have enjoyed, hope you guys stayed up to date and learned something. Other than that, hope you guys have a safe night and stay warm.